Welcome. It's a little bit loud. Can everyone hear me? I would imagine so. Welcome to Hare Krishna Valley. Thank you all for coming. We have a children's room just at the back here, games room, so if the kids are making noise, you're welcome to take them. You can still hear everything. Everything's recorded in there. Just it's sometimes hard for the kids to settle during this part. So this is Hare Krishna Valley, if you haven't realised that yet. It's a place where we chant Hare Krishna a lot. The chanting of Hare Krishna is very powerful. It is called a Maha Mantra. Have you heard of this word mantra? Yeah, it's quite popular now, and all these words are becoming well known. When I became a Hare Krishna about 30 years ago, a lot of these words were not so well known in the West. Karma, even samsara, reincarnation, guru, that word wasn't so well known. Mantra wasn't, but now it's like the common part of the language. Everyone knows what a guru is, everyone knows what karma is. Even my grandmother, she passed away maybe about 5 years ago. And when I first became a Hare Krishna, it was very foreign to her. She found it a little different, a little strange. And then to my surprise, about a year before she left this world, she turned around to me and she said, "Oh, that's my karma." So I could just see how society, things are becoming so common now in society. People understand these things. These messages are not unknown anymore. So a mantra is a spiritual sound which purifies the consciousness. It's literally the word man means the mind, tra means to release. So a mantra is a spiritual sound which releases the mind, releases the ego, releases the material identification that we have, and liberates us to the spiritual platform. You'll see that quite often when people are chanting this Hare Krishna mantra, they become very happy because it's made of spiritual sound. And it's actually made of the names of God Himself, Krishna Himself. And when we chant this mantra, because it has spiritual potency, it uplifts our consciousness and releases us from our material covering. And then we feel we're released from our ego, from the problems of the mind, and we feel like a sense of natural bliss, which is coming from the soul, who we actually are. So that's why some people say the Hare Krishna people look happy. Sometimes people say that to us, "Oh, you guys look happy." It's not just because of the turmeric that we put in the food. That helps. But the main thing is the mantra, actually. We chant this mantra for about 2 hours a day in meditation. And then we also chant it congregationally together, like we just did just then, on a regular basis. So when we chant this mantra, it purifies the consciousness of the dust or the material desires which are situated within the heart, and lifts us to this spiritual platform. So that's why we call this place Hare Krishna Valley, because it's the place where we like to get together and chant on a regular basis. So many of you are here for the first time. Who's here for the first time? Quite a few. Yeah, thank you all for coming. So we'll take some questions and answers. If you have any questions, anything you'd like to ask about the meaning of life, the universe, and everything. If there's anything you'd like to ask a Hare Krishna person about their lifestyle or their practices or beliefs or anything like that, you have our undivided attention. So we'd like to. So any questions you have about anything? Okay. Yes, Christabel.
Hi. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome.
So I'm curious to know, so I heard that the Hare Krishnas believe that their God is a woman. I'm not sure if this is true, and that Hare is a feminine word, and that's why a lot of your paintings look quite feminine, even with a masculine body. So is it that the energy of universal love is feminine, or is it equal to masculine as well?
Yeah, good question. Good question. Our tradition is based on the Vedas, which are the ancient books of knowledge from India. They're said to be the oldest books of knowledge in the world. dated at 5,000 years or more, you could say. So it describes in the Vedas, it gives detailed knowledge of the Supreme. In a lot of the traditions in the world these days, which are available to us, the definition or the description of the Supreme is limited. There's not a lot of definition. Just like if you look in the Bible, many of us are brought up in Christianity. I went to Sunday school and like that. So they would teach us things, but when you ask them deeper questions about what does God look like or anything like that, they can't really, it's hard for them. My guru, Tamal Krishna Goswami, in the 1980s, he had a conversation with the Catholic cardinal of the Philippines. His name was Cardinal Sin. A little ironic. The name was a little strange. But, so he had a conversation, and they were discussing. And my guru said to the cardinal, he said, "What does God do in heaven, in the kingdom of God?" The cardinal said, "He sits on a throne." And my guru said, "Does he ever get off the throne?" And the cardinal thought about it, and he said, "Actually, we do not know." So in many of the traditions of the world, there's limited knowledge. In our tradition, there's unlimited knowledge. I can tell you God's name, I can tell you where he lives, I can tell you what he eats, I can tell you what he likes, what he doesn't like, I can tell you what he does all day. All the information is there. So if you look around the back of the temple, these pictures, they're like windows into the spiritual world. You can see what's happening in the spiritual world, what God does. Krishna is the blue person, God is the blue person. He's a bluish cowherd boy. As you said, sometimes they look a little feminine. I suppose because I'm used to him. I don't see him so much as feminine. But he has long hair. He lives in the forest. He dresses the way he dresses. He wears robes and those kind of things. So yeah, I suppose you could say he looks a little feminine, quite a lot of jewelry and so forth. But he's very strong, he's very masculine, but a very balanced type of energy. Whereas, unfortunately, in this world, in this day and age, the masculine energy is becoming very imbalanced. Especially in a country like Australia. Like I just got back from India 5 days ago. That's why I have a bit of a cough and got a little bit of a virus just when I left India. And as soon as you enter Singapore and then you get back on the flight to Australia, Singapore Airlines 207 back to Melbourne, and then when you're on that plane and then when you actually arrive in Melbourne, Australia has a really kind of abrasive kind of sound. Everyone starts talking like this, and you're back on the plane again, and we're all like getting back to Australia in Melbourne. Alright? Oh God. It's like I'm now, leaving India like a place of spirituality and culture in some ways, and then entering back into... And Australian men, I'm generalising. There's so many different men, I'm generalising, but there's this real over-masculine kind of energy, and a lot of men are like, we're going to be really tough because we're men, and we talk like this, and we drive utes and stuff, and it's like imbalance of the energy. Krishna's not like that. He's very strong, but he also has that softness. I wouldn't describe him as feminine, but balanced. I think you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Like that. So in the description, it describes that his consort is Radha. So you see all the pictures, she's with him. So she's his feminine counterpart. She is the female Shakti. He is Shaktiman, like the source of the energy. She is the energetic, the feminine side of him. So they're eternally together, like yin and yang, or like that, masculine, feminine, divine energy. So she is the original Shakti. She's the source of all femininity, and she's the most perfect female. And she is the one who can fully capture his heart with her feminine devotion and love, actually. So when we chant the Hare Krishna mantra, the words Krishna and Rama, they're the masculine names, the names of Krishna, of Rama, of God. And Hare means Radha, means the feminine. So we say Hare Krishna. So we approach the feminine before the masculine. Just like usually women are softer than men. So you don't go to your dad. you know, if you know you're going to get in trouble, you know, you go to your mum, you say, oh mum, I did this. She goes, oh, it's not so bad.
Don't tell your father.
Yeah, don't tell your father. Your dad say, are you kidding me? Your mother's a little bit soft, generally. Like that. So that's why we chant Hare Krishna, because we approach the feminine first. If she is satisfied, automatically he'll be easy to capture. If she's not satisfied, then it'll be very hard to capture him. He's elusive. He's a cowherd boy. He wanders out in the fields all day, in the forest all day. He's hard to capture, actually. If you want to get close to God, it's not that easy. It's not a cheap thing. You know, some gurus say, you just give me $5,000, I'll give you God. Yeah, it's not that easy, unfortunately. You have to change the consciousness, change the heart. When there's love and devotion, automatically you'll capture Him. Anything else you want to?
No, that's great. Thank you.
That's good, yeah. Very good question. Very good question. Any other questions? Yes, madam.
I would like to ask why Krishna is blue.
Why is he blue? When I meet him, I'm going to ask him that myself. So why are you blue? The way it's described as being the colour of bliss or happiness, just like today. Not that direction, but I can see in that direction. There's you can see the blue sky. And as a Hare Krishna monk, for many years, my service was I would travel around, mainly Melbourne and Australia, but around the world, and we would sell Hare Krishna literatures on the streets all around the world. So people would be walking down the street, and I'd say, excuse me, are you from Melbourne or from out of town? I'd say I'm from Melbourne. I'd say, oh great, you get one of these today. I'd say I'm from out of town. I'd say, great, you get one of these today. So, I was giving these books out. And I noticed, especially in Melbourne, because Melbourne has a schizophrenic weather pattern. Like, you never know what you're going to get. It's world famous for that. So I noticed on the days where the sky was blue, that people were much more receptive, much more open. And if you notice that if you go to places like Bali and places like that where it's generally good weather, people are very outgoing, whereas when the weather is opposite, it kind of withdraws the consciousness. So Krishna is said to be blue because when you see the colour of the sky blue, it automatically opens the heart and makes you very happy. So it's described as bluish because of that reason, because he's personified bliss. So because of being personified bliss, then he must have turned that colour at some point in time. I will ask him when I meet him. So why you put, or maybe when you see him it'll just be self-evident. I'm not sure, but that's why he's described to be like that. Any other question? Yes, madam.
What happens when you die? Like in Christianity, it's repent your sins, ask for forgiveness, and you get to go to heaven and whatnot. What happens when you die?
What happens when you die?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So, yeah, sometimes we're taught that it's called churchianity. Christianity is a different thing. But in churchianity, sometimes they say to us, you just die, and if you just say, I love Jesus, you just go back to heaven. That's an overly simplistic description, and it's not accurate about reality, what takes place. What happens when we die is that the soul transmigrates, because the body is a vehicle for the soul. Each one of us is in a body, but the body is temporary. The soul is who we actually are. So when the body dies, as described in the Bhagavad Gita, you might have heard of the Bhagavad Gita, it's like our ancient book of knowledge from India. So it describes that each day when you get up, you put on a different set of clothes, but you're the same person. So Krishna gives that analogy that when we die, we change body. Just like you give up one set of clothes, you put on another set. You give up one body, you put on another, you get another body. So that's called transmigration of the soul. And Krishna says in the Gita, one who is born is sure to die, one who dies is sure to take birth again. So actually there's no fear. Everyone has a real fear of death, but actually there's no reason to fear death. because it's just a natural consequence of life. You know, if you have a body, it's going to perish. That's the nature. But the soul is immortal. That's who we actually are, and that continues. Now, the goal of the Vedas, of the ancient teachings of India, is that when we pass away, Krishna says in the 8th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, Yam Yam Vapi Smaram Bhavam, which means whatever you're thinking about at the time of death, that's what you will attain without fail. So wherever your consciousness is. So if you have what we call Krishna consciousness, or God consciousness, or spiritual consciousness, you will transcend this world, you'll go back to heaven or the spiritual world, or to live with God, with Krishna. If you have material desires, and when you die you're still absorbed in those material things, you'll take birth again, and according to your karma, then you'll get the results of your desires. So what happens when you die, that's up to you. It's our choice. Because we all have independence. Like I can get up, like there's 4 doors here. I can get up now, I can go through any of those doors. That's my independence. That's given to me by Krishna, by God. So I've got choice. So at the time of death, whatever I'm thinking of, that's what I will attain. So we recommend focusing on Krishna and God. Our desire is to go back to the spiritual world, to live with Him once again. The spiritual world is superior to this world. In the Bhagavad Gita it describes it as called para prakriti, this is called apara prakriti, which means it's an inferior place. Because everything here is temporary, everything there is eternal. Everything here is full of ignorance, everything there is full of bliss. Everything, in other words, it's the opposite of whatever we find here. So if we're absorbed in spiritual life, then we will transcend, we'll go to a higher destination. So it's up to us what happens when we die. It's not generic. And it doesn't work. I mean, it's a nice thought that you can just die and just say, well, you know, I believe in Jesus, and then you just get this like free ticket back into the spiritual world. It's not quite as simplistic as that. It's how you live your life here. So, do you want to ask anything further?
No, it makes sense.
Makes sense, yeah. That's actually why I became a Hare Krishna. Sometimes people ask, why did you become a Hare Krishna? The reason I became a Hare Krishna is because it's logical. Whether you believe it or don't believe it, that's your choice, that's no problem. But at least what we say is logical, it makes sense. Like that. You know, sometimes you hear people say things like the Jehovah's Witnesses. You know Jehovah's Witnesses? Yeah, I've met them quite a few times. They even came here to the farm one time. You know, they drive around and they knock on your door, or they drove around and they drove onto our farm. So I was having a conversation with them. I've never met one that I don't like. They're lovely people, you know, very well-mannered, very polite, very nice people. I mean, I like Jehovah's Witness people. But their philosophy doesn't make sense. So your philosophy has to match your lifestyle. Both things have to be there. And I was speaking to them and they said to me, only one, I can't remember the number, but it was something like only 144,000 people can get into heaven. So I said to the lady, something like that, I don't know, you have to ask them, I can't remember the number, maybe someone knows the number, okay. Something like 140. So I said to the lady, she was here, I said, so heaven's about the size of the MCG. The kingdom of God's about, you know, can hold about 144,000 people. After that, then, sorry, there's no room. Obviously that's illogical. That's illogical. Everyone can fit there. Billions, millions, trillions. It's unlimited. So it has to be logical, that's the point. It has to make sense. So, any other points? Everyone has attained enlightenment. Yes, sir.
We are worship and chant Krishna name, and Krishna chant which person and worship.
Sorry, I didn't understand.
We are chant Krishna name.
Yeah.
Krishna chant which person name?
What name does Krishna chant? God himself? He chants Radha's name.
Right.
Yeah, he chants the name of his best friend while running, when he meditates. That's why we say Hare Krishna when we chant. Because we want to approach the feminine before we approach the masculine, as we said before. Like that. Even he chants her name. So. Any other questions? Yeah, I'll take one at the back and then I'll go this one. So. Maybe some of the kids, because it's a little hard for me to concentrate with the noise. If you go to the back room, you can still hear, there's a playroom there, you can still hear the conversation, if you don't mind.
I had a girlfriend that couldn't make it today, and she thought that Hare Krishna was Buddhist, and I said no. And she said, well, what's the difference between Buddhism and, being a Hare Krishna, and your views on that? Yeah, so apart from being a different God, she wanted to know what the differences were.
What the difference between us and Buddhism? Yeah, we're part of Hinduism. Yeah, and Buddhist is a different. There's 5 major faiths. You know, there's Buddhism, there's Christianity, there's Islam, there's Judaism, and Hinduism. So they're the 5. So we come under the umbrella of Hinduism. But in Hinduism, we're monotheistic, which means we believe in one supreme person, one supreme God. We believe in God. A lot of Hindus don't believe in God, they believe in the gods. All of the gods. All of the gods, everything is one. You are God, I am God. Everything is God. We are all God. The microphone is God. We are all God. Hare Krishna. We are God. So that's not what we believe. We don't believe that it's all one. We believe there's one supreme entity. And all the gods, because in Hinduism there are a lot of gods, they're like assistants to the supreme being. He's not distracting if you want to stay.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's up to you. Whatever's good. Whatever's good. So, there are many gods. So they're like cabinet ministers in the government. You have the prime minister and you have the ministers. So they're like that. So in Buddhism, there isn't a god actually. They teach nirvana. I mean, if you go traditional, actually the traditional teachings of Buddhism, I meet people who are Buddhist, who say they're Buddhists these days, but they don't actually understand even what Buddhism is. Like you meet people who are Christians, but then when you start talking to them, you're sort of like, is that Christianity? It's not, you know. So a lot of people that say, oh, I'm Buddhist, and a lot of people say everything these days. I meet people who tell me they're Hare Krishnas. I say, so what do you practice? And they're like, well, that's not what I practice. So, people say, you meet people. I say, oh, yeah, I'm a Hare Krishna. So what do you do like that?
So do you think like sometimes when people say that, it's more like an ego thing? To belong to something and to like the perception of different things.
Yeah, it can be.
Yeah,
it can be an ego thing. Or it can be that some people don't get very deeply into things these days. Some people are very superficial.
Yeah.
It's like that in everything.
Yeah.
It's like, you say, oh, yeah, well, I do this. And when you start asking the person, I don't really know that much about it. It becomes like that. So, traditionally in Buddhism there is no God. They speak about nirvana. Nirvana technically means nothing. It means void. In Sanskrit we say shunya. Shunya means nothing. So traditionally, what's the difference between us and Buddhism? That's probably the main difference. That we believe in God and they don't believe in God. In terms of everything leading up to that, we're very similar. Buddha taught that the world is suffering. Everything in the world is suffering. We agree with that. Suffering. Like that. A lot of suffering. He taught that everything is temporary. We agree with that. He taught that the way to cease the suffering is to become enlightened. We agree with that. And then when it comes down to the definition of enlightenment, that's where we differ. Like that. So it's important to understand the differences. Yeah, because a lot of people just say, oh, it's all the same. You know, like people meet me and they think I am a Buddhist. Yeah, people come in and they say, oh, we always want to learn about Buddhism. I said, that's cool. I can teach you all about it, because I know it. I mean, I know Buddhism. But that's not what I am. That's not what I practice. Like that. There's a Buddhist ashram about 15 minutes away in Paraparap. So they teach Buddhism. So yeah, it was similar. I suppose you could say we're like cousins. The original Buddha, he was actually a Hindu prince. He was born in India. Buddhism, you know, he was born in Gaya, which is in India, in Bihar, which is kind of northern India. And he attained enlightenment. He actually rejected Hinduism because Hinduism was becoming very ritualistic at that point in time, that point in history, about 2,500 years ago. So he actually rejected it. He was a Hindu prince, but he said, no, I'm not going to follow that. I'll start my own teaching. So that was, you know, there was merit in why he rejected. Because sometimes, like, in all the faiths in the world, people become ritualistic. They don't actually know why they're doing it anymore. They're just doing the rituals, you know, they're ringing the bells and throwing this frankincense and doing the whole thing. They don't, why are you doing it? Even in India, there's a story we used to tell when people get married in India, like Indian weddings, like epic, like this whole thing. And then part of the Indian weddings, it became a tradition, you had to have a cat under the basket. Get a cat and put it under a basket, and then that makes the wedding auspicious, you know, blessings for the wedding. But what actually happened, if you went back a few hundred years, is that there was a cat running around. So the grandmother just got a basket and just put it over the cat to stop the cat running around. But then next time they had a wedding, someone said, oh, there has to be a cat under the basket. So then, it's like, so then that became like part of the tradition. Like that. But it's got nothing to do. So a lot of people these days, in all the faiths, you know, they're just following, oh, because, you know, we do this or we do that. They don't even know why they're doing it anymore. So at least in my faith, I know why I'm doing everything I do. There's a reason behind everything. You can ask me anything and I can tell you why we do it. Or why we believe it. It's not. And otherwise it becomes blind. And what's the point of following something blindly? Oh, I don't know, but you know, this is the way we do it. It doesn't make sense. So it has to be logical. That's why I said, that's why I became a Hare Krishna, because it's logical. Yeah, if you agree with me or don't agree, that's cool. That's your prerogative. Like, you know, I say God's a blue cowherd boy. I actually believe that. God's a blue cowherd boy. Some say, well, I don't believe that. That's cool. That's your choice. But it's logical that he is a blue cowherd boy. I mean, it's illogical that he's an old man who sits on a throne. You know, people come in and he said, have you been good? And they say, no. And he goes, go to hell forever. Next. Have you been good? Yes, I believe in Jesus. Okay. Go and sit on cloud 9. Here's your harp. Throw grapes in my mouth every 1,500 years. And then, oh, that's not God, logically. At least our God's logical. He's a cowherd boy. He plays in the forest all day. He plays a flute. He's dancing. Look at all the... He just has fun. That's all he does. That's logical. You believe, you don't believe, that's cool. That's your choice. But at least it makes sense. Karl Marx, have you heard of Karl Marx? He was the founder of communism in Russia, going back 100 years and more. Karl Marx said, I would believe in a God, he was an atheist, he said, I would believe in a God who sings and dances. So, Hare Krishna. We are the singing, dancing God. Worshippers. Aha. So at least it makes sense. So,
does that mean you're going to cook it up?
Say it again.
Does that mean you're going to cook it up?
Going to cook it up?
Yeah.
What does that mean?
Does it mean you're going to cook it up today?
We already did. We had the big chanting. We cooked it up already.
I missed out on the cooker.
You missed out on it, man. We cooked it. We were dancing, we were chanting, we were cooking. It happened. Is there anything else you'd like to know from your question about Buddhism?
Yeah, what about like a traditional Hare Krishna wedding? How does that unfold?
Better you see it. If you look up Kesava, that's my name,
Yep.
Kesava and Atulya's wedding, my wife. It's on YouTube.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just look it up and then you can see it.
Yeah.
Or look up Hare Krishna wedding on, just Google Hare Krishna wedding, and
Okay.
it's colourful, obviously.
Yeah. Is there anything specific that you do for a wedding or not do?
Lots of things. But probably better you see it.
Yeah.
Although I can describe it to you, you won't really, you have to visualise it really. But it's colourful, that's the point. My family, when I became a Hare Krishna, I was 19, 1989, and you know, it was a little radical. You know, I just came home and said, so I'm becoming a Hare Krishna. My mum said, what are you doing? You know, you can't do this to your mother. What are you doing with your life? You haven't experienced everything yet. So she rang her friends, and then her friends started ringing me, and it was like, you know, it was on, you know. Because they didn't understand, they didn't know what it meant, you know. And then my cousins and aunties and uncles and stuff, you know, they thought, you know, that's a bit strange. But I was always a explorer and a experimentalist, so they kind of thought, oh, you know, it's just a phase he's going through. You know, you do his Hare Krishna thing and then he'll go off and do something else. But then it didn't change, I just kept doing it. And then after a number of years, then I got married. So they all came to the wedding. And then it was interesting because, I think they were still a little borderline about my decision, but after they saw the wedding, a number of them came to me and they said, this is the best wedding we've ever been to. You know, there was life there, there was colour, it was like, you know, there's like, some weddings can be a bit sterile. You know, dun, 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 dun. It's like, you know, I mean, that's personal choice. If that's what you like, then it's fine. But ours is a little bit more colourful. So, and then I noticed actually a number of my relatives, they had a change of heart after my marriage, after seeing that and being a part of that. Yeah, they could kind of see, oh, you know, this is good what you're doing, and keep doing it. And even my mother, I mean, you know, when I first became a Hare Krishna, said, you know, you can't do this, you shouldn't do this. And then about 10 years ago, she had cancer, and I was sitting there with her, and she survived. She's come through it. But she said to me, she said, don't you stop doing this. She said, you're the insurance policy for the family. Because I'm spiritual, so it's kind of like good karma for the whole family. You keep doing this. That was her instruction, don't stop. You know, at the beginning it was like, don't do it. Now it's like, don't stop. Okay, so. Anything else you'd like to? That's okay. Yeah. Where's the audience?
Okay, so I'll try to make it as short as possible. So I've been studying like the 8 limbs of yoga, and you know, Krishna's coming up a lot in what I'm researching, and you know, one of the I guess I would like to say I am a minimalist. I'm environmentally conscious, but you know, one of the things is less materialistic. Have less materialistic things in your life, less clutter, less stuff. And so, two-pronged question. Firstly, as a Hare Krishna, do you have to give up, not a materialistic life, but you have to give up things that you love, like I like earrings and jewelry and makeup, and so would you have to give that stuff up? And on the second question is, do you have to be a devotee to be a Hare Krishna?
Okay, yeah, good questions.
Okay.
Okay, so first question, do you have to give up materialistic things? There's no stipulation, like it's voluntary. The whole thing about Krishna consciousness, about the Hare Krishna movement, is voluntary. You can do, like I can leave now if I want to. No one's forcing me to be Hare Krishna. It's by my volition. I choose to be. You know, and I always say to people, if I find something better, I'll do that tomorrow. But so far I haven't found something better. Like, I find this the most fulfilling way to live my life.
With less?
Oh, I'll get to the less part.
Okay.
I'll get to the less part. But I'm just talking about the lifestyle itself. It's a very fulfilling lifestyle. I just got back from India. You know, I go to India once a year for a month. You know, it's the most spiritually rich place on the planet. You know, and we dive very deep into our tradition. Our lifestyle is nice. I mean, we live here. It's beautiful. It is beautiful. We're fortunate. It's very beautiful. You know, we look up. We've got our beautiful cows. We'll go and see after the feast. You know, we get amazing people come and visit us all the time. You know, so many wonderful people come. So, you know, that's, you know, we get to meet amazing people. The Hare Krishna people themselves, I find to be, by and large, I mean, I'm generalising, but by and large, I would say they're the people I like hanging out with because they have depth to them. A lot of people are very superficial these days, I find. Hard to have like meaningful conversations with people. These are Hare Krishnas, you can actually talk about something which has some merit. The food, obviously, you know, it blows away everything. You know, I'm a Hare Krishna just because of the food, more or less. But the food does, it's like I've never tasted anything more satisfying. The lifestyle. Prabhupada, who's the founder of the Hare Krishna movement, he's sitting there on the seat of honor. He actually said, even if Krishna is not God, our lifestyle is still the best. If Krishna is God, that's a bonus. You know, I do believe he is God, but you know, it's a very nice lifestyle. So it's a voluntary lifestyle. There's no one forcing you to do anything. How much you want to minimize things, that's your personal choice. Some Hare Krishnas choose to probably have more material facility, others choose to have less. The monastic part of our tradition is a large part of our lifestyle. Many Hare Krishnas like to live a monastic lifestyle. I was a monk for 8 years. I slept on the floor. Everything I owned was in one, you know, cupboard which was that wide. You know, for 8 years. I was totally fine. I was happy. You know, I didn't need or want any. I never got any. I didn't get paid, but I always had somewhere to eat, something to eat. You know, I've never been hungry as a Hare Krishna in 30 years. I've always have somewhere to sleep. Even to this day, I can just travel anywhere in the world, go to Hare Krishna temples, virtually every country of the world. I can walk in, I have somewhere to stay. So, but other Hare Krishnas, they may prefer to have more. Well, that's personal choice. You brought up specifically being in a female body. So yeah, that's natural for girls. That's why Hare Krishna girls don't shave their heads. They do wear makeup. Like my daughter's floating around. You know, she's got her makeup on today and her hair plaited, and that's the female energy. So if you feel happy doing that, but then we encourage, if you like the lifestyle, then do it in Krishna consciousness. Like you can see Tarini's dressed in a beautiful sari. You know, there's reasons why the ladies dress like this. You know, there's reasons why they do. So we encourage that. You know, if you're inspired by the tradition and by the beliefs, then you know you can go towards that. You know, it's very feminine. And we have woofers stay here, volunteers come and stay here from around the world. And when I got married here, we had some woofer girls who were from, one was from Germany, one was from Bulgaria, and the other one was from South America. And for the wedding, they dressed up in saris and everything. And it was interesting because they're very nice girls. I still stay in contact with some of them. And they said, well, when we put on the sari, it really changed the way we thought. You know, it changes like the whole, because you know in the Western culture, you know, we wear less, we dress in a particular way. It's all very sexual, sexual. And when you put on a sari, it really changes. And they said it really makes us feel kind of very feminine and soft, and really like that. So they weren't ready to wear that all the time, because you know they felt like that does have an effect. There's a reason why we do what we do, like that. So yeah, you don't have to give things up, but it's your choice, and we just say try to spiritualize it, try to move it in a particular direction. And the second question was about a devotee.
Yeah, so I was just a little bit, I'm just a bit confused, I guess. Like, is a devotee, I guess, somebody who lives in this type of environment, or is a devotee somebody who lives out in the outside world, in society? Because I would say you're in a beautiful bubble here. Do you have to a strict guideline to be a devotee, or is that, or do you know what I'm trying to say? Like,
yeah, what does it mean in terms of your lifestyle commitments and your choices? Yeah, to be a devotee. Okay, so if you want to go on to be a Hare Krishna devotee and to call yourself a Hare Krishna and identify that that's what you are.
Are they the same things?
Yeah, well, we'll use the word devotee, we'll just say Hare Krishna, just to simplify it for everyone. But the words are interchangeable. We call ourselves devotees. Devotees of what? Krishna. So Hare Krishnas. So it's kind of the same thing. So on the broadest level, to consider yourself a Hare Krishna means that you see God as Krishna, as a blue cowherd boy. If that's how you see God, you're a Hare Krishna. Welcome. Thank you for coming. Good to have you here. Like that. If that's how you see. So, I mean, it's cool for us if more people see like that because we've got more people to hang out with. Yeah, there's more Hare Krishnas. That's good for us if people see like that. But that's your personal choice. But if you do that, then you're a Hare Krishna. But then there are different levels of commitment like that. So, in terms of, do you have to move into an ashram? Do you have to live in the community? All that stuff? No, you can practice at home. And most Hare Krishnas in the world, and there's millions, they just practice at home. You know, they're doctors, lawyers, counsellors, yoga teachers, Ara's a teacher. You know, there's like many people around the world that do different things. What do you do, George?
Business intelligence.
He's a business intelligence. I'm not sure what that is. But he's BI.
Sounds important.
Sounds important.
Yeah.
I'm telling you it's important. Business intelligence. So, yeah, everyone's got a different thing. You know, so it's whatever your thing is, but we practice certain things in our home, like that. And then, we come to the temple or the farm or whatever to congregate and be with the community on a regular basis. But you practice in your own home. So what are the practices? The practice is that we chant the Hare Krishna mantra, which is the mantra we were chanting before. We chant that on beads, like in a meditation. Those of us who are the most, I suppose you say, dedicated, we chant for 2 hours a day on the beads. Even if you chant for 10 minutes a day, it's up to you how much commitment you want to make. And then we have 4 what we call regulative principles, which Hare Krishnas follow. Those of us who are the most strict, we follow them completely. And, amongst the rest of our members, then we ask them to follow as much as they can. So the first one is do not eat meat, fish or eggs. There's no compromise on that. If you're going to call yourself a Hare Krishna and you still say, well, I still want to eat meat, fish, no, well then we would say, yeah, we have a problem with that. Because you have to get off that. So that's easy for you because you're already vegan, you're already committed. So then the next one is no intoxication. So we don't take anything which is addictive. Those of us who are the most strict, we don't even take tea and coffee. We don't even take cigarettes, obviously, stuff like that. Any drugs, anything like that. So we don't even take stuff like that. Anything which is addictive, we just avoid that. The third thing is we don't gamble. So we don't get any form of gambling, anything, we don't do that. And the fourth thing is illicit sex. So it means on the strictest level, those of us who practice most strictly, we only have sex inside marriage. And those of us who are the most strict, we only have sex to procreate children. Right? So we don't expect every Hare Krishna, like in the congregation, to come up to that level immediately. That's definitely the goal. But, we don't excommunicate someone if they can't follow, but we say at least do it within marriage. That's like, we say that. So, at least the meat, just get rid of that. Intoxication, the more you can follow that, obviously the better. Everyone realises that. Gambling's not that difficult for most people. Sex is the one which is the most challenging for most people in society because, it's there. So you just have to make a choice, how much you can follow and you want to follow, and that's your choice. But if you can, within your own home, if you can practice those things to whatever degree, and you accept Krishna as God, then you're a devotee, Hare Krishna. And then the other thing we do, well, there's 2 more things which I'd add. We offer our food to Krishna, just like you saw Tarini just offer the food. So whenever we cook the food, we offer it to Krishna, to God, and we ask him to bless it. So that's not that hard to do. So that's a Hare Krishna practice. And the other thing is that we read the spiritual books, like the Bhagavad Gita and the other books, which are available in our shop. So, read those things. Or these days you can watch stuff on YouTube and there's tons of Hare Krishna stuff. There's a really good website called ISKCON Desire, which has unlimited lectures, if you like to listen to lectures like what I'm giving now, unlimited lectures from gurus all over the world, so stuff like that.
I'll have to get that.
Yeah, I can tell you what it is. Yeah.
Cool, thank you.
That's the basic. That's the ABCs. Good question. Any other questions?
Why don't Hare Krishnas take it to the next level and be vegan?
Why don't we take it to the next level and be vegan?
You don't have meat, fish or eggs. Why do you still have fish?
Why do we still have milk? Yeah. Because in our tradition, in the Vedas, the ancient teachings from India, there is nothing wrong with having milk. Because I'm talking about the way the world was 1,000 years ago or 5,000 years ago and the way the world is now. They're two different things. The way milk is being taken from the animals these days, obviously that's why so many people are becoming vegan, because it's exploitation. We have cows here, we have our own cows.
Do you make your own cheese and milk?
That's what we're aiming at doing, yeah. We've got 18 animals and we're building up the herd, right? And as we build them up more, then we do milk them, and we will milk them. And because it's not done with exploitation, there's nothing wrong with it. I know a lot of vegan people these days say, oh, it's exploitation, we shouldn't take the lactate of another species, all that. Okay, that's your belief, we respect that. We don't believe that, we don't accept that. We accept that the cow, especially, she likes to give her milk to people, to those who look after her. Our cows are very affectionate, we have a very affectionate relationship with our cows. It's natural for them to lactate. The amount of milk they produce is far more than what the calves need. So then we can take that milk, and we can offer it to Krishna, and then we can take that milk, and it's not exploitation, it's love. When you're born, your first 3 to 6 months or 12 months or more of your life, all you live on is milk, your mother's milk.
But humans are the only people that take milk from another species.
That's because we can. That's because we can. And it's not wrong. It's wrong to exploit animals. It's not wrong if you're protecting and loving the animals to take their lactate, to take their milk. That's not wrong. The vegan movement, and I understand why. The vegans are saying, oh, we should not take the milk. Yeah, obviously if you're exploiting the animals. Yeah,
That's what's happening these days in the milk industry.
Okay, so look at our farm. It's not wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's wrong out there. I agree.
Yeah.
There's no debate with that. But then, because sometimes vegans come here and they tell us what we're doing is wrong. Respectfully, we say, no, we don't agree with that.
Yeah. Okay,
Right.
thanks.
Yeah, because if you look after the animals. So we would say this is taking it to the next level. Veganism is not the highest level. The highest level is when you take the milk from the cows that you love and that you protect. Like, we protect our cows. We get up in the middle of the night when they're having babies. Like, they're a part of our family. We protect them, right? So to exchange that they give us milk out of love and that we protect them, there's nothing wrong with that. That's the highest level. That's the next level.
You buy your cheese and that from the supermarkets, though?
At this point in time, because we're still developing. Yeah,
Okay.
we're still developing. Yeah, yeah, we do. I'm not saying so. Many thousands of Hare Krishnas around the world are vegans. Thousands, yeah, thousands of them, but not all of them.
Yeah.
Not all of them. I don't take a lot of milk, but I do take some, commercial, dairy products. I'm not going to lie to you like that. In our philosophy, if that milk is taken or that cheese is taken and offered to Krishna, offered to God, the animal gets the benefit of offering that to the Supreme Lord and spiritually benefits. So that's part of our philosophy and teachings. So if someone didn't believe in our process, obviously that would be a conflict of interest, and we respect. I respect where the vegans are coming from, I respect. But to think that veganism is the goal for the earth, no, we don't agree with that. We say that natural farming and animal husbandry, as we're showing here, that's the goal for the earth.
Yeah, but it's not like that anymore, is it? It's all factory farming.
So let's bring it back to that.
Wrecking the planet.
Why are we doing it like this? Because we're showing you can do it another way.
Yeah.
Live with your animals. protect your animals. We
It
don't.
used to be like years ago.
So why did we change it?
Greed, money.
Yeah, so why did we change it? So let's take it back.
Yeah.
Let's take it back. I mean, I appreciate what vegans are doing. I think I applaud them that they're protesting in the way they're protesting by not taking that. But then they have to show on the other level a positive example as well, and that's what we're doing. So, you're welcome.
Do you contradict yourself there by buying the cheese?
What's that?
Do you contradict yourself there by buying the cheese?
Possibly, depending on how you look at it. How you look at it. But like I said, because we offer the fruit to Krishna, the animal itself gets benefit from that. So there is, but then, you know, if you don't believe in that spiritual dimension, then obviously you just see it as a contradiction. So sometimes we've just got to beg to differ, or we may see things differently, or the different worldviews. You know, I've had hundreds of vegans come in here, and I've had, you know, question and answer sessions. But one time, were you there that time? And the whole club came, right? It was like the whole vegan society of Geelong came down. It's like 40 of them at once. Have you seen Fraser and Ali? Have you ever seen, you know, the big matches? Or Foreman and Ali? Like, I was like Ali, just, you know, I was sitting there on the ropes, and just for an hour. Like, I said to everyone, like, dudes, I respect you. I really do. Like, I respect your train of thought. I respect where you're going with this. I respect it all. However, there's a further development, or a further way of taking things further and understanding things and spiritually growing your consciousness, which is being missed. Yeah? So, you know, we had to differ on certain things, but I do respect. If you're vegan, then fantastic. I would say you could even take it to another level, but that's, you know, that comes down to personal belief. So, yeah.
Just off the topic.
Yep.
What's with the ponytail?
Why do we have a ponytail?
Yep.
Because we're monotheistic, which means, like, the Dalai Lama, for example, he totally shaves. So we shave. Shaving is a sign of renunciation. We renounce materialism, or we renounce this world, our attachments to this world. However, because he's a Buddhist, he just renounces everything. We renounce this world, but we keep one attachment, which is to Krishna, to God. So it shows that we're monotheistic in our, like that. So, like, you know, if you're walking around India and you see, you know, people walking around with robes with shaved heads, you know, that's a Hare Krishna, that's a Buddhist, and gives everyone an understanding externally. It's part of our uniform. Any other questions?
Why do cows sit down when it's raining? Is it to keep that bit of grass dry so they can eat dry grass and not wet grass?
Why do they sit down? Why do they sit down, right? After the feast, we'll go and visit our cows, and then Mani Griva, he takes care of the cows.
You'll ask him, he might know why they sit down when it rains.
Yeah, he kind of knows. He's like an encyclopedia on cows.
Cool.
So any cow questions, direct them towards him, because he's the cow guru. So, someone else had a question? Someone put their hand up just before. Sorry. Yeah, Dick.
I've got a question about karma.
Yeah.
And how we come into, like, this lifetime with our karma that we've carried from, you know, the previous one, and you know, the lessons that we're here to learn and to develop in order to transcend and move on to the next life. And what you think about, or what you believe about the choice that we have in creating or not creating more karma. If there is a certain amount of karma that we have to live through or experience.
Yeah.
And then there's and then there's like the option of choice as well.
Yeah.
Because sometimes it's like, okay, well, you know, because I've heard from different teachings that sometimes you think that there is a choice, but actually, you know, it's karma, like it was destined, like God had destined, or, you know, because of
your previous life, like it was destined for that, even though it may seem like on the surface level that there was a choice to that act.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's predestiny and free will.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's been discussed for thousands of years by every tradition.
Yeah.
So the answer we're given from the Vedas, which I believe to be the definitive answer, is that both are equally relevant. In other words, predestiny means your karma from your previous life. Okay, so in my previous life I did so and so. You know, I did some bad things. So in this life I'm born, that karma is called prarabdha. Prarabdha means unmanifest. But it's going to come in this life, but it hasn't come yet. But it's sitting within me. It's like a seed which is within my consciousness. And then at some point in time it's going to manifest. So you did bad things in your previous life, and then in this lifetime, then those things manifest. So that is called predestiny. Those things you can't avoid. You know. Now free will means how you react to that, respond to that. Like, so I'm walking down the street, someone just comes up and goes bang, hits me in the nose. That's never happened to me, but you know, while I've been chanting in the streets in Melbourne, years ago I was chanting on the street and a guy came up and just spat right in my face at close range. I think that's only happened once, but I mean it was disgusting. The moment he did that, I was in a mood of bliss, to be honest. I was just spiritually, I was fully in the chanting, I was just like, so it virtually had no effect. If he had got me in another day at another time when I wasn't kind of in that state of consciousness, I may have reacted differently. You know, I could have responded in a way that would have caused further karma. So in other words, free will means that whatever happens to us in our life, how we respond to that, then that determines where it's going to go next. So if you don't respond and you absorb the karma, so to speak, then that karma is nullified and then you go on, your free will. So both things are relevant. That makes sense? Yeah, okay. So that's the correct way of seeing it. Because sometimes, you know, over the years in many traditions, they'll say, oh, free will is supreme, predestiny is supreme. That's not accurate. The accurate is they're both completely relevant and they're just interlocked or into. So that's the way to see it. Now in the Bhagavad Gita, it speaks about 3 different types of karma. And this is what is not understood properly in the world these days. There's vikarma, karma, and akarma. Vikarma means really bad stuff. Like if I kill someone, like, you know, one of you are going to be the feast today. Like, you know, if I did that, like, you know, out the back, I said to money, quick, you know, who's got the most meat on them, you know, like look around. You know, they look like they're going to be really good, you know, bang out the back and then like that. That's vikarma, that's bad karma. So that's one type of karma. If we perform that kind of karma, then you're going to get huge reactions coming in your next life. Right? It actually said in the Bhagavad Gita, you get cast into the lower species. That's how a human becomes an animal, for example, or a plant, or an aquatic, or a bird, or a beast. It's because you've performed very bad karma, and then you are cast back because of your negative karma into a covered form of life, which you then have to go all the way through back the evolution of all the other forms to come back to being a human once again. Sometimes people say we're all progressing. It's like a New Age kind of philosophy, oh, we're all here to learn, we're all progressing. It's not true. You know, Adolf Hitler, what he did was not progressive. So if someone says, oh, you know, in his next life he had to become like, you know, it's of course not. He just went down. You know, he's probably still down. God knows when he's going to come back.
He'll be a Jew.
What's that?
I'll come back as a Jew.
Yeah. He'd be much lower than that to start with, and then, yeah, eventually he'll come back to those kind of things. Like that. That's karma, that's obvious. So, that's called vikarma. Karma means pious activity, or activity which is recommended by higher teachings, but it's still materialistic. So it means in society, you know, it means doing good things, giving charity or, you know, doing good things for people. But it's still karma. So it means Someone's born very wealthy in this life, that means in their previous life they must have given a lot of charity. That's the only way to explain the logic of how they would have been born like that. So it means if you're doing good works, you get good things. If you're doing bad works, you get bad things. Now what we teach, what we practice, and what the Bhagavad Gita recommends, what Krishna recommends, is called akarma. Akarma means, literally it means no karma. So it means you're acting, but because you're devoting everything you're doing for the pleasure of God or Krishna, the karma is destroyed. So just like we offer the food, this is the most simple example of something we do every day in our lives. The food we've taken. So today we've taken rice, we've taken carrots, we've taken whatever the ingredients are. By taking those life forms, those plants, we've killed life, we've taken life. But we've taken that life, but now we're offering it back to God, back to Krishna, with love. He destroys the karma, and then it becomes akarma, it becomes karma-less. Does that make sense? Yeah, so that's called akarma, so that's what we're recommended to do. So everything we do in the Hare Krishna lifestyle, we try to practice akarma, so that at the end of our life we burn our karma up, and then we can transcend, we can go back to live with Krishna in the spiritual world. Otherwise, if you're just performing karmic activities, you are forced to be born again in this world to take the results of your activities in this world. Does that make sense? Yeah, so that's how we see things. Do you want any further clarification?
No, thank you.
That's how we see it.
Yeah.
That's the Bhagavad Gita's understanding, or Krishna's understanding. So. Why doesn't that relate
Good
to
question.
fish, meat, and why doesn't that relate to fish, meat, and eggs then?
In what respect?
In what you just said, why doesn't that relate to fish, meat, and eggs?
Because God doesn't eat them. God doesn't eat them. So you can offer them to Him on the plate, but what will happen to you? Good luck. Now, if you offer Krishna meat, fish, or eggs on the plate, you know, I would be very concerned for you.
You wouldn't do it out of respect.
Yeah, well, I wouldn't do it out of fear and respect. And if you did it, I would be very concerned about what would happen, because He would not appreciate that. Because He eats foods, I mean, there has to be violence in anything we eat. It says in the ancient teachings, jiva jivasya jivanam. To sustain life, you have to take another life. We have to take the carrot's life. You have to take the rice or the wheat, you have to take the life to sustain. But there's a vast difference between the violence, which from taking the animal or taking the fish or the chicken or whatever it is, there's a vast difference in the violence, because they have a central nervous system. They scream, they agonize. Carrots don't scream or agonize. If you go on, like David Suzuki did some vibrational tests and so forth, you know, plants, when you cut them, they do actually cry, but you don't hear it. And they don't suffer to the level that an animal suffers, because it's a lower species of life. So Krishna says, that's acceptable, you can offer me. He says, patram pushpam phalam tuyam, which means fruits, flowers, grains, those things he says are acceptable. But he says, if you offer me meat, I will wreak havoc in your life.
Thank you.
Yeah. And actually that's what wars are. If you look at wars on the earth at this point in time, if there's a war anywhere on the world at this point in time, it's because people are eating animals. That's all it is. And then when too many people are eating too many animals, right, then the aggregate karma gets them all together and treats them the same way that the animals are being treated. Just like we had a tsunami in 2000 or 2001. I can't remember what it was, but big tsunami. You know, it hit multiple countries. 200,000 people died within hours, right? But no one speaks about the fact that all those villages living on the ocean are just going into the ocean all day, just pulling out fish unnecessarily. You know, we don't need, I haven't eaten fish for 30 years. I don't need meat to live. But just, you know, pulling out all the animals and all the fish and committing the violence and killing them to eat. And then when the ocean says, okay, we're going to take some of you back, everyone goes, oh, it's horrible, it's horrible. But every day everyone's going out taking the fish. You know, we kill 90 billion animals per year on this planet. No one says anything. I mean, we do, because, you know, vegans or whatever, we say, the Hare Krishnas, we say something, but most of the world doesn't say anything. 7 billion of us killing 90 billion. Where's the equality? And then a few of us get killed. Right? And everyone's like, oh, it's terrible, how can that happen? But you don't say anything all day about what happens. So.
Excellent, helping me understand people.
Yeah, that's good. Any other question? Anything? Okay. So we have a free magazine. If anyone's here for the first time, it tells you all about the Hare Krishna movement. What we do around the world is very interesting. It's free. If you want, you can just come and take like that. Is anyone hungry? Starving?
I'm not really. I'm just hungry.
Okay. If you're starving, please go be at the front of the line. We don't want to put you through difficulties. If you'd like to give a donation for the fees, please just leave a donation here. It costs a lot to feed everyone, so if you'd like to leave a donation, we would appreciate it. Please come again. If you'd like to join our mailing list, just leave your email in the shop. Shop's just behind here. We'll let you know about our retreats that are coming up. We have retreats here regularly. We've got the Colour Festival coming up. We've got 2. We're doing one in Lawn in January, one at Winchelsea. So lots of events that we're organising. So you're welcome to come. All of our events are drug-free, alcohol-free, meat-free, and anger-free.
Smoke-free.
What's that?
Smoke-free.
And smoke-free, yeah. Smoke-free. Like that. So if you like something to eat, please just go out and turn right and go down there. Hare Krishna.